Welcome to New York's number two sports show. The Rangers defeat the Vegas Golden Knights by a score of 4-2, and Jonathan Quick earns his 400th NHL win. So he does it in his fourth opportunity. It finally happens against Vegas, a former team of Jonathan Quick. He actually won a Stanley Cup with them. Didn't have a large role with the team in terms of on ice. I believe it was actually technically their third string goalie. But, Quick was not only did he get the win, he really was a catalyst for this victory. I mean, first 40 minutes of this game was definitely Vegas, but the Rangers, in what has not been a thing for them this season, they are able to put together a really, really good third period. They trailed 2-1 going into the third, and they scored 3 goals, including a couple of power play goals to win 4-2. I believe this is their second win when trailing after one period and trailing after two. Again, it doesn't happen often. I've, been critical of the fact that they haven't really had comeback ability. And in this one, they did it when it wasn't looking very good. And they were coming off of a tough back to back. But, Quick really kept the Rangers in the game. Rangers definitely gradually got better as the game progressed. Um, but really, as far as the skaters are concerned, that top line specifically was really good. And that was something that I kind of alluded to in, the episode against the Bruins where they lost, but you could tell that that line was dangerous. And, their production was a lot on the power play, but, even strength as well, they were good. Um, and JT Miller being the center on that line, he has been excellent in these first 2 games. It's, great to have him back with the Rangers. And this was his first game back at Madison Square Garden with the blue shirts. A little different wearing number 8, but he, had a couple of assists. And even when he didn't have an assist on the Alexi Lafreniere goal in the second period, he drives to the net and, definitely causes some havoc. And that honestly was a big reason why they got that goal. And, Mika Zibanejad was very good, especially in the third period. And for Zibanejad, it seems as if this trade has awoken Mika Zibanejad, where he's playing with more jump, and I don't know, maybe him being at wing could be something that could help his game. And I think it really helps the first line. I don't know what it means, and we'll discuss as far as the other lines. I feel like there's not as much of a balanced attack going this way, but I really do think that he looks different for now, and there's a lot more that he needs to do to make up for what has been really a disastrous season for Zibanejad. But it does seem as if this has brought something out of him, and one in which didn't necessarily see coming. I don't think any of us could have, if we could have predicted the lines. I really don't think anyone would have gotten this exactly correct. Panarin with Miller and Zibanejad. And Artemi Panarin had a good game as well, 3.9 for Panarin, and Zibanejad had a 3.9 as well. But for Panarin, he had not been on the same line as Zibanejad, through much of, Panarin's tenure since he got here. Yes, I mean, here and there, did they go with it? Absolutely. But by and large, it would be Zibanejad with Kreider. And Kreider's a left wing and Panarin's a left wing. And that's just what it has typically been. So to not only go with, Miller comes in as a center, and now they decide that they're going to move Mika to the right wing and put Panarin on the line. It's really interesting, and it is very dangerous. What it means to the rest of the lines, I don't love it. Now let's take the fourth line aside, because that is what that is. And I should mention Adam Edstrom, not unexpectedly, was not in the lineup and still being evaluated. So I'm a little bit concerned that, I don't know. I hope that the news on him is nothing too bad, but we'll find out, probably in the near future. So Jimmy Vesey would replace Edstrom in the lineup, and that made sense as opposed to Kaliev. In a fourth line role, Vesey makes more sense. So he finally slots back into the lineup after I think he was healthy scratch in either 8 or 9 straight games. But I don't know, the second line, which really the top 2 lines got the majority of the ice time, by a lot. And so it's Trocheck centering Smith and Lafreniere. I'm just not a fan of that line. Um, and it kind of, with Trocheck, I feel like it's been something that we haven't discussed much. And I like Vincent Trocheck a lot. Like what he brings to the team, the versatility. Like this is a very important player. However, this has been a much worse season for him than last year. And it's easy, for us to talk about Panarin, for us to talk about Lafreniere. Trocheck kind of gets lost a little bit there within that trio, that line. But I think that Vincent Trocheck has a lot more to give. Um, and I'm just not sure what that right combination is. I feel like Will Cooley is kind of unfortunately someone that lost like a decent share at what's the best way to put this? Like he is kind of stuck with Brodzinski and Kreider on the third line. And that third line did not get much play. And so, I look at the ice times, Chris Kreider, 12 minutes and 21 seconds. That was it, which I'm very pleased with that. He at this point is, and I've said it, he's a special teams specialist. And I'll give him this. Like on the 2 power play goals, you could feel his presence in front of the net. Like it was there for sure. So Vincent Trocheck was the odd man out on the 5-man unit on power play 1, and Chris Kreider was out there. And so give him that, and even on the penalty kill, there's something there for sure still. I'm not sure what the analytics suggest, but I'll certainly say that Kreider can be of use on the power play and the penalty kill. Um, but I don't know. And again, putting Zibanejad on the wing changes the complete outlook, without a doubt. So I think for matchup purposes, if you go Mika down the middle and have the centers being Miller, Zibanejad, and Trocheck in any order, I think it could pose problems. And that's the thing. Although it is nice to see Zibanejad, maybe that confidence is coming back. So like we can't just say, hey, like put him at center. No, maybe this really could help him get going. So I'm not saying it's an easy decision. I think it's one that's going to be somewhat fluid. But I don't know. I guess it'd be nice to maybe have Cooley take the spot of Smith. And therefore, what you're doing is like the easiest way to put it is Cooley is kind of replacing Panarin with Trocheck and Lafreniere. And then for now, it's kind of Brodzinski taking the place of Zibanejad in between Kreider and Smith. Johnny Brodzinski as your third line center is not something that you really want. That was a role that he had for a lot of last season until they acquired Alex Wenberg, with Philip Hedl having been out. And I should mention, Philip Hedl did score in his first game with the Vancouver Canucks and looked really good. So again, if Philip Hedl is going to be healthy, he is going to be a nice addition for the Vancouver Canucks. But, Brodzinski, we've seen him in that role, but it's not something that I think the Rangers want long-term. That's what they're going with for now. But yeah, the story here, beyond obviously Quick, which is the main one, is is Zibanejad and Miller, and then to a lesser extent Panarin. As far as the defense is concerned, we'll start negative. Um, the biggest problem right now, when you look at this roster, is Ryan Lindgren in terms of the fact that he logs a lot of important minutes, and it's just not good. It's not if if things were different, right? And Lindgren, you somehow got rid of Lindgren, and I'm not sure what the exact replacement is, right? I'm not sure if it's a 1-for-1 replacement or you're just moving around the defense, but he's hurting this team. And I really think, I don't know if it's going to happen. In fact, I think if the Rangers are in the playoff race, I don't think they're going to trade him at the deadline. The more interesting thing is if they're out of it, although to me that should be a no-brainer. But he takes a penalty that leads to a power play goal, which is something we saw in the game against Boston. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, Fox with someone else, I mean, that could really be quite the pair. But with Lindgren, it really weighs it down quite a bit. On the positive side, the Miller Borgen pair was really good, and they have logged a lot of important minutes. And it's not to say that both of them haven't had struggles at times. I mean, Keandre, it's been well documented this season, and even recently, there's been some bad moments. But they really go up against. They're kind of considered the shutdown pair, kind of what Miller and Trouba were, which was a disaster. Like with Borgen, it's been good, and Borgen was a +2 in this game. So that was really good. And Keandre Miller gets the game-winning goal in this game. And, You want to see that continue, and then Vakanainen and Schneider on the third pair rounded out. And Schneider's had a lot of turnovers lately, but Schneider was using the body, being more physical. So that was good. And also, I should mention that Vakanainen was announced as a roster replacement for Team Finland in the Four Nations tournament. So good for him. That now means that there's 6 Rangers in that tournament. And I would expect it to stay that way. It won't increase from that. Vakanainen was the only one that, it was talked about, hey, with injuries, he could be a guy that goes in. So I don't think there's anyone else that, has that same situation. But yeah, let's discuss it. Again, the goalie matchup being Jonathan Quick versus Adin Hill. And Adin Hill, he's had a good season by record. The save percentage, really, I think it was 901 going to the game. So goals against average was pretty solid. Again, the record was good, but that save percentage was nothing to write home about. And with Vegas, the Rangers beat the Golden Knights in January in a very unexpected win. They got it done. And Vegas has not been great lately. However, I thought they were very good. And really were over the full 60 minutes, they were the better team, but they didn't get the win. But maybe the Rangers caught Vegas at the right time. It's tough to say. I think that they will still be a very, dangerous team in the playoffs, but they, are only able to get 2 goals, both by Jack Eichel, who, is as dangerous as they come. So, like I said, Vegas was the team that had the jump. They were the better team by far the first 2 periods. They outshoot the Rangers 14-7 in the first and 15-9 in the second. And like the ozone time was heavily, in Vegas's direction completely. And Jonathan Quick made a lot of big saves. Like really, because we know what the Rangers are. When the Rangers go down by 2 goals, they have not won a game all season. And luckily that did not happen here. So at 11:33, there's a couple of penalties, one by the Rangers, one by Vegas. So as I'm watching this, I noticed that Shea Theodore, it's a delay game, puck over the glass. But what I didn't see was that Matt Rempe was called for boarding Shea Theodore. Honestly, the hit was clean. The only thing I could argue was it was a little bit late. That's the only thing that I can say, all right, maybe. But we know that Rempe has a target on his back. So it makes it a little bit difficult. So it ends up being 4-on-4. No one scores in the 4-on-4. And then at 18:36, with the Rangers really, really struggling, and I'm just at that point, I'm hoping, hey, just get out of this period tied. Ryan Lindgren trips Doroviev. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I may not be. And actually, interestingly enough, I think he actually leads Vegas in goals. Yeah, he has 22 goals. So I really should be more familiar with him. But either way, he takes him down, Lindgren, that is. And Vegas has the puck in the Rangers zone the entire time. And they would score. And it would be Jack Eichel scoring his 17th goal of the season at 1941. So Riley Smith, I believe, had a chance to get the puck out earlier. And again, Riley Smith has been bothering me lately. Riley Smith against his former team here in Vegas. But yeah, Tomas Hertl was, easy in front with really no one providing any, resistance. And so, I'm not even sure if Quick saw it. And Jack Eichel being, one of the best in the game, going to be a tough situation to stop it. And so with 19 seconds left off the Lindgren penalty, Jack Eichel gives the Golden Knights a 1-0 lead. We go to the second period, and the Rangers quickly tie it up. 1:18 in, it's Lafreniere scoring his 14th goal of the season, assisted by Fox and Riley Smith. And JT Miller, who I guess had been on a line change. I guess Trocheck came off, Miller came on. And Miller just goes straight to the net. And that's not something that we see with this Ranger team, especially the top 6. Miller goes to the net, like he gets a piece of Alex Pietrangelo, totally legal. And Smith makes a pass to Fox, and Fox, with a little bit of patience, finds Lafreniere open, and it's a wide open net. Adin Hill tries to sprawl over. He has no chance. Lafreniere buries it, and that ties it up at 1. Also, what was kind of funny was tonight, the kid line all scored. Lafreniere for the Rangers, Hedl for the Canucks, and Kakko for the Kraken. So it's 1-1 here. But still, Vegas, is controlling play. And at 9:16, It's another goal for Jack Eichel. Second of the game, 18th of the season, assisted by Kolasar and Theodore. And this was one where a turnover in you know, a combination of a turnover in the offensive zone between Riley Smith and Alexi Lafreniere. And so they go the other way, and Trocheck is the one that's back, and Eichel uses Trocheck as a screen, and he fires it past Quick. Maybe when the Quick wants to have back, I guess it's also possible he didn't get a good read on it with where Trocheck was, and it makes it 2-1. And again, like I'm not thinking this line is going to be too successful. We'll see. They're going to stick with these lines. I'm almost positive. Um, but I don't, in the long run, I don't know that one's going to work out. Either way, Vegas takes 2-1 lead. And, I felt as if the Rangers were fortunate to even be trailing by just one after two periods. I wasn't feeling great about it based on the track record of this team and, facing a good Vegas Golden Knight club. But the Rangers really got it done in the third period in a big, big way in a game they absolutely needed. I mean, this one gets them to 25, 23, and 4. Now 30 games left. Like, things were looking bleak, and it's still an uphill battle. But anyway, Brett Howden, the former Ranger, interferes with Matt Rempe at 4:03. And that's the great thing. Matt Rempe making positive contributions. A big, big penalty drawn, and it gets the Rangers to have the ability and the chance, in which they do, to tie the game. And it's actually a great keep-in by a combination of Fox and Zibanejad. Players that, for better or worse, you can question at times, again, the intensity and things like that. But that was gritty. Fox to kind of battle with Eichel and Zibanejad to stand there right at the blue line and keep it in. So the number one unit stays out there. Again, Trocheck's the odd man out. And they're able to work it to a situation where Panarin passes it to JT Miller on the left side, and Miller takes a shot, and it trickles behind Adin Hill. He doesn't know where it is. And Zibanejad, with two Vegas defenders in the area, he is the one that swoops in there, gets the backhand on it, and it goes in. It's a goal you'll love to see from Zibanejad, where he's getting his hands dirty. I mean, he is, hey, whatever the repercussion might be, he gets it done, and it ties it at 2. So give JT Miller, a point there. He would get another point later on as well. And so, it's actually 4 points in 2 games for JT. And dating back to his last stint with the Rangers, I believe that's now a 4-game point streak all these years later. So we're tied at 2. And at this point, Vegas was still getting really good prime chances. They were. But the Rangers do take the lead. Despite that fact. And it was that Miller line that is able to provide this. At 11:33, Keandre Miller scores his 4th goal of the season, assisted by Zibanejad and Panarin. And what happens here is Panarin is the one that causes the turnover behind the Vegas net. He then finds Zibanejad to a wide open Keandre Miller. He steps in and really just fires it past Adin Hill. So nice to see Keandre Miller with that goal. Makes it 3-2. Again, it's those top players, that top line, that is just really, really dangerous. They are. And it makes it 3-2 Rangers. Then at 13:07, you have a fight between Will Cooley and Nicholas Hague, and you're thinking, okay, that's rare, and it is, to have a 1-goal game to have a fight at 13:07 in the third period. But what happens is Will Cooley has a really great clean hit on Alex Pietrangelo, just absolutely levels him, totally clean. And, you love to see it. And so, Nicholas Hague comes to Petrangelo's defense. Will Cooley drops the gloves, and they go at it. Hague got the better of him. Hague's got a lot of size on Will Cooley, but certainly admirable. And again, like, Will Cooley is someone that I hope is a Ranger for quite some time. I think that he really has the tools to really be a very effective player. I felt this way last season, and even more so now. Even though the point production has dropped, which was inevitable, this is someone that even when he's not, producing points, he's doing other things and is playing the body. And that was really nice to see. Later on, Petrangelo's involved again. So a bit of a rough night for Alex Pietrangelo. At 17:13, he hooks Chris Kreider. So it was a bit of a kind of a mini breakaway for Kreider. A late call by the ref. I was kind of surprised they called it, but it is a hook. Pietrangelo, again, good job by Kreider. When he wants to, he can, turn on the Jets. And look, he still terrifies me. 5-on-5 at this point. He's shown me nothing to believe that he's going to be effective there. I hope that changes, but that was good. And now the Rangers go back on the power play, and they're able to seal the deal, which was nice. It kind of reminded me what they didn't do against Colorado in a tie game, where they were unable to score, and then Colorado, Cale Makar out of the box, and Colorado wins, and that started, what was a 3-game losing streak. But here, the Rangers take a 4-2 lead. It's Artemi Panarin scoring his 22nd goal of the season from Zibanejad and JT Miller. So at this point, actually, I think Adam Fox was off the ice and Keandre Miller replaced him, but the other 4 forwards remained. So Kreider was in front, which was helpful here. And it ends up in a spot where Panarin on the left side is able to corral the puck. It was Panarin to Zibanejad, back to Keandre Miller, to JT Miller, to Zibanejad, kind of a tic-tac-toe goal. And Panarin's the one to finish it. Gives the Rangers a 4-2 lead. Vegas pulls the goalie. They're unable to score, and Jonathan Quick finally secures that 400th NHL win, the first ever by a U.S.-born goalie. Really quite the accomplishment. The one caveat I'll say is obviously in the post-lockout, a.k.a. the 05-06 season and on, with no more ties, and so every game has to be a win, does skew that stat a little bit, right? I look at John Van Beesbrook, who I think had 374. You could, I don't know, there's a little more legitimacy there. That all said, Jonathan Quick has been unbelievable. He is going to go right into the Hall of Fame. Seems like an amazing teammate, and has just totally embraced the backup role. And I think it helps that he's, with his hometown team, grew up a Ranger fan, and nothing but positive things to say about Jonathan Quick, who has been, much, much better than I could have ever expected in these 2 seasons as a Ranger. And really, the stats this year aren't great, but I still feel like when you need them, you can count on them. So now it's going to be another game with the Boston Bruins. Now, Boston, they will be taking on the Minnesota Wild the night before. So it'll be the second of a back-to-back for them. They'll go from Boston to New York. And for the Rangers, they'll have a couple of days to practice, which is, I think, going to be important. Even though JT Miller did well, it'll be good, for power play reasons and just, for even strength for him to get more acclimated with his teammates. I mean, there's history, obviously, with some of them, but still. And we'll see. Again, I felt like this was a really, really big one. If they lost this, it's not to say season over, but then you're on a 4-game losing streak. The last 3 games now, you just got to take it game by game. But if they can have some success and somehow, let's say, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they can somehow have a 4-game winning streak going into the 2-week break, puts you in a spot where you feel like maybe you can make a run at this. We'll see what happens, though. But, kind of a fun night at MSG after kind of a not so good first 40 minutes. The Rangers are able to, show some resiliency. Not something that we've seen a lot from this brand, but they get it done. Top players, come up big. JT Miller centering that first line with a couple of assists and just a really strong game. Mika Zibanejad with 3 points and, really looked good doing so. And Artemi Panarin with 3 points. Keandre Miller with the game-winning goal. But it goes back to the star of the night, Jonathan Quick, in the 4-2 Ranger victory over the Vegas Golden Knights, picks up his 400th NHL win. Congrats to him. Big win for the Rangers, and they will take a couple days off and get ready for the Boston Bruins to come to town Wednesday night.